Well, my name is Sandy Wood. I went to Oak Meadow from Children's House through 8th grade. I graduated in 2004 and have gone on to Concord Academy and Vassar College since then. And I also have been very fortunate to have a connection with this school in northeastern India in the Himalayas called Jamse Gatsal. Just sort of noticing myself like that I was in this new and unfamiliar environment, in this kind of unfamiliar situation, but that when I had the choice of on the way up to the school, like we might stop in a little village for tea, and I could stay in the car and where it was more familiar and more comfortable, or I could go out and kind of push through that zone of challenge and newness, and talk to somebody or kind of poke around and kind of encounter the situation. And I had that willingness to push through that initial kind of tentativity, and really, so imbued in me was this willingness to push myself and try new things. And then I also started thinking a lot about why I was even there, why I had this interest in going to new places, or I'd long had an interest in community service and international development was what I thought about a lot in high school, and since then I've really come to question ideas of what is development from that kind of traditional Western conceptualization, but that what had, like, I sort of was asking myself, why I wanted to be there in the first place, and what had driven me to have that sense of interest in people who were less fortunate, and I think that a lot of that comes back to, well, I thought a lot about my humanities classes with Mrs. Kelly in middle school here, and how much she really pushed us to ask questions about ourselves and about the world and about how we fit into it, and how we would learn about things that felt like real issues, and that was something that had sort of, I think, fostered my interest in figuring out how I relate to community on a smaller. Well, I think that also the structure of the education that I had as early as elementary school and Children's House, and like a lot of the Montessori materials I look back on and like, wow, it's a really brilliant way to teach multiplication in a very concrete, visual, hands-on kind of a manner. And so I'm hoping to bring those kinds of activities and that kind of education that I was really privileged to benefit from into my classes that I'm teaching in India. And I think that also, as much as anything else, I was really having that independence and that ability to pursue my own interests and work in a kind of focused sort of way on something that really engaged me. It's sort of a foreign concept talking to friends, and I volunteered at a couple of schools in Poughkeepsie where I went to college, and that it's sort of like it's like, oh, I have to go to school, or like, oh, I have to do my homework, and it that was like a totally foreign to me from my my earlier education, that it was like it felt like I was playing games, and even up through middle school, that what we were talking about in class was these questions that I just had about myself in the world as I was sort of coming to develop my own identity, and they're these sort of broader philosophical questions that I think about even now of what is my place in the world and how are we connected, and so I think that through that sense of engagement and how much my education here really followed my own interests, I think I was able to get a lot out of my time in elementary school, whereas in classes that I've witnessed in other environments, a lot of the time just goes to sort of trying to get the students' attention and getting them to cooperate with you, and it sort of becomes more a power struggle, whereas here it felt much more like my teachers were my teammates in exploring things that were just interesting and evoked my curiosity. Perfect. So I'm hoping that that's something that I can bring forward to the students also, because I feel really lucky to have had that background.
Perfect.